because Spain changed the way that it lived. It used to live under Franco, and he was out, and the banks in Spain, Santander, and many others, they decided they were going to act like the rest of Europe, and they buried the country in debt. And Portugal did the same thing as well when they got rid of Salazar. So, you know, I've lived in those countries, and I've been going there since, the early 1960s, when most of you people listening weren't even born. And so I know lots about what goes on there, and I get by pretty good in Spanish, and I speak French and German fluently, so, you know, you keep your ear to the ground, and you hear lots of things that you're not supposed to hear, and you hear people talking about the good things and the bad things in their country.
The gentleman comes back in, and he said, I lease 3 dry cleaners here in Rota, Spain, and I have an option to walk away if I just lose 1 month, just pay 1 month of rent, lease, and I can walk away. So what I'm hearing you say is that this property that I have an option to purchase is possibly going to go down another 50 to 60% in the commercial side. Is that what I hear?
Well, the figures I gave you on the commercial side were figures for the United States. The figures from Spain will be different. I don't know how hard commercial real estate will get hit. I don't know how much they overbuild. I only know about the retail end in Spain and how much they are overbuilt. I think you've got to play it by ear. And, you know, I just put an article in that just came out of Switzerland today, and it's about Swiss chocolates and how the price has fallen. The luxuries are starting to be ignored. I get the piece I got from Holland I mentioned earlier. It'll be in Saturday's issue by someone who lived there for 40 years and still has very close connections there, who's Dutch, who lives in France. I hope that's not confusing. And they're having a heck of a time selling flowers. I mean, they used to sell a lot to the Ukraine. They're not selling any. And the flower bulb conference is coming up, and I think they're not going to do very well. The point is this: things that are not necessary are not being purchased. So if you think everybody needs their dry cleaning, well, you're going to be okay. But on the other hand, if you think that you might lose 30 or 40% of your business over the next few years because people don't dry clean their clothes as often, then you got a problem.
He comes back in and he says, fortunately, 50% of my trade is washing clothes from military personnel from the base. So that might help.
So you should do okay. You should do okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Unless they close the base.
Yeah, he said if they close the base, I'm in deep doo-doo.
You know, I got to tell you a funny story. A friend of mine lived in right next to Marbella, and I think it's Terrafolinos. It's between Marbella and Malaga. And I've been there many times, but it's been years. And he was a member of the German Army. And he also had a home in Madrid as well. And he was building the base at Rota as a contractor, among others, of course. And the United States government didn't have a clue to who he was. I thought it was funny.
Oh, man, that's cool. It really is. Well, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. We'll be back here. We're going to take a break early, and we'll be back here in about 6 minutes. This is Drew Malone Reigns III and A Marines Disquisition. with Mr. Bob Chapman, theinternationalforecaster.com. That's theinternationalforecaster.com. And we've got some more insight. We're going to move over to a question about Citibank and their plans for a crisis derivatives. And we'll get to that question in just after the break. We appreciate the question, Gunny. So, ladies and gentlemen, take a break, get you a cup of coffee, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Marines Disquisition, and we have Mr. Bob Chapman, theinternationalforecaster.com. That's the 3 W's. The International Forecaster, FORECASTER.com. His phone number, those of you that wish to talk to him, please do. Call him. Leave your name and number, and he will call you back. 1-800-375-4188. 1-800-375-4188. And as we walked away to do the early break there, ladies and gentlemen, we were talking. I brought up the fact that I have a gunnery sergeant out there wanting to know about the Citibank and the crisis derivatives, and he brought this to our show because he's basically in the know. He wants to invest his money, and he's worried about the CLX and the USRLI, whatever they mean. So we've got the right man on the air today, Mr. Bob Chapman, and maybe he can explain what they are and what's happening with Citibank and the derivatives that they're pushing forward. Mr. Chapman.
Well, they're the third largest derivative holder. J.P. Morgan Chase controls a very large part of that market, and Goldman Sachs is number 2, and Citigroup is number 3, and then comes Bank of America and Wells Fargo, etc. And, of course, the reporting does not include many of the insurance companies and brokerage firms and others that write derivatives as well, but it gives you an idea of at least where some of the power in the derivative movement is. If it wasn't for derivatives, the economy of the world would have collapsed already, and it's going to make that collapse far worse when it does happen. We're talking about 130 to 140 quadrillion derivatives out there, and anybody in a company or any company that is using derivatives should be avoided. And many companies are, and you don't know if they are unless you ask, and sometimes they won't even tell you. And so you have to be very, very careful. And that's one of the reasons I tell people to stay away from these exchange-traded funds. And because you don't know what's going to happen. They're untested. Some of them, like in GLD and SLV, which are gold and silver derivatives, exchange-traded funds in silver and gold, they say that they have the silver and gold, and in fact they don't. They are using derivative contracts, and that's why I won't recommend them to subscribers. And any of these other derivatives contracts I would stay away from as well, whether they're longs or shorts, whether it's in real estate or in commodities. I won't recommend them because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You want to be safe with your money. You put it in gold and silver-related assets. It's the only safe place to be. If you have inflation, they're both going to go up. You have deflation, they'll hold their own. And it's as simple as that.
That makes sense. Okay. I have a gentleman that comes in here and he says he would like for you to comment about the CME Group announcing that margins for metal futures contracts on the New York MEX and the COMEX will rise beginning February the 12th, approximately 25% across various classes. The initial margin for 100-ounce COMEX gold futures appears to increase from 6.747 to 5.403, while a maintenance margin will rise from $4,998 to $4,998 from $4,002. You want to comment on that?
Well, the excuse for the exchanges is that they do that to create an orderly market, and that is a bald-faced lie. They do that to protect the specialists who are short.